pick. Nice pick.
Bam, bam, bam.
Sorry, that was him being creepy and harming a child. First off, let me ask you, and we asked this a long time ago, not a long time, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Do you think that Biden is going to be the candidate? Nope. Do you think he's going to be the candidate for the Democratic Party? Or do you think that it will be someone else? Do you think it will be Gavin Newsom? A lot of people think that. I know Patrick Bet-David thinks it will be Gavin Newsom. I know Gerald does.
I made that call before Patrick Bet-David, I think.
Okay, look. Come on. Now, Gerald says,
be honest,
all right,
Patrick,
look.
be honest.
He's going to try and say that he said it before me. Okay, let me put it to you that way. All right. Gerald, right, he's a guy who says, okay, I predicted it first. But if you look at it, he has a 60% chance of predicting it first. Okay, I have a 70% chance. But then of my 70%, I use 20, he only uses 10. That means I predicted it first. Gerald is a guy with small biceps. I have the biggest biceps. Okay?
You do have big biceps.
I put
it to you that way. Okay. So Gavin Newsom. Here's the thing. He has a different coat of paint. He's not very different from Joe Biden.
No.
As a matter of policy, certainly as it relates to China. And this is where we have a very, very stark contrast. I mean, we've had 8 years of Obama, 3 years of Donald Trump, really. We'll have had 4 years of Biden. And you'll get to see the difference in the economy. You'll get to see the difference in unrest internationally. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's important to see the difference in our posturing as we go into really the new, it's not new, but the technological age really that's an arms race right now. And China is a big problem, some people would argue. So Gavin Newsom is, I guess he just emerged, but not really. It seems like he might be running. Here's a clip that maybe hints at it, and we'll get into it.
This is a guy, look, I mean, is he going to challenge Joe Biden in a primary? Probably not. But it's hard to imagine this isn't somebody who's sort of waiting and watching and wants to be available on deck if sometime in the next year Joe Biden isn't running.
Okay, so he has the second best odds of winning the Democratic nomination. There are a bunch of headlines out there speculating that he might run. He was pressed on the question last month, and he kind of gave an answer. Yeah. But then if you understand what he's doing traveling abroad in China, it's one of those, how often have we heard, I'm not running until they run. So this is from about a month ago or within the last month.
I think we need to move past this notion that he's not going to run. President Biden is going to run, and we're looking forward to getting him reelected. I think there's been so much wallowing in the last few months and hand-wringing in this respect, but we're gearing up for the campaign. We're looking forward to it.
But you hear these calls privately. What do you tell these donors who are wallowing in this?
Time to move on. Let's go.
There's so many pauses. The only good thing about that interview, I think that was Chuck Todd's last or very close to last interview before he signed off. Good. Was replaced.
Then he probably got a show on HBO Max.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think Newsom is going to run, not this time because California is too much of a liability. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of how you set up your campaign from 4 years from now. Yeah. You kind of stick your head out and you're like, hello, I'm just here. Look, I'm going to visit China.
I think it's more. I think it's more than that. Like some of his behavior, like he went to the RNC.
He went to the debate, the Republican debate.
Yeah, he tried to debate. What was it, Vivek? Or DeSantis, I think.
DeSantis. He took some shots at Vivek. He's publicly attacked governors like Abbott, which, by the way, is in poor taste because he's a wheelchair guy. Yeah. Generally speaking, non-wheelchair guys shouldn't attack wheelchair guys.
You don't punch down.
He's going after DeSantis as well, and he's been trying to do some political sort of staging. Like he vetoed the trans kid custody bill that we talked about. He's been doing this media blitz
for him.
Yeah. So I definitely think that he's in the mix. I think if nothing else, he's probably planning on a cabinet position.
Yeah.
There are a number of things that he could do. But look, Brian, to your point, when people look at him and go, oh, he's just preparing for whenever Biden is done in 28, I'm like, this is too early for that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's doing if he was doing a handful of things over the course of a year, fine. He's doing way too many things back to back to tell us like, hey, I'm trying to do something bigger than just in.
Well, for him, big, and I don't know if you know this, but everything is bigger in China.
No,
it's the opposite.
Is that what they? Okay.
Nothing's bigger in China. I mean, the land mass is very large.
It's the oppression. Right. It keeps the people.
Which is maybe why
the oppression is bigger.
Maybe the Chinese people are not as tiny as they seem. It's the scale.
Yeah.
They look tiny in this large land. No, they're also very tiny. They are. But there's like 20 billion of them, so it would just be like World War Z. If there was a world war, they'd be throwing bodies. Yeah. So Newsom recently, which is not typical of just a governor of an active governor, visited China. Xi Jinping, other CCP leaders. We have a clip.
Oh, there we go. Nice pick. Nice pick.
Bam, bam, bam.
I got you. Tackle. Basketball's tackle.
Sorry, that was him being creepy and harming a child, a Chinese child on a basketball court. Now, it's obvious he knocked the kid by accident, and he was trying to soften it. But if they were playing by their own rules, patting a Chinese kid on the ass who was likely a prisoner of the government 3 times wouldn't go over very well.
It was the small of his back, guys.
Yeah,
Seriously.
no, it was really.
It was not the small
there.
of his back.
Yeah.
It was all thigh.
Yeah,
And if that were Donald Trump, he'd hit him, go, get up. He'd pull a great Santini. You gonna cry? Huh? Cry?
it's an obvious charge as well.
I apologize for the wrong clip, but it's fun for me. Here's the right one.
Newsom arrived to China on Monday, visiting several major cities and provinces. Among the stops, a tour of an electric bus depot in Shenzhen and a visit to the Great Wall
Yeah,
of
that's a
China.
photo op.
And on
That's not a
Wednesday,
photo op.
Newsom
Him on a
met
Chinese
President
bus.
Xi
He inspected the
Jinping
bus
and
line.
other officials in Beijing.
Buses,
Newsom's office says the discussion focused on climate change and
room.
economic ties between China
big
and
empty room.
California.
And by the way, just to note, American reporters, they were not allowed in the meeting
good.
at all.
Yeah.
So let me give you a recap of what he did on his visit and then kind of show you the concerns that I would have of Newsom, but also Biden with China. That's something that's sort of being overlooked right now because of the conflict with Israel and Hamas. So what did he do? He discussed climate change with Chinese
Thank
leaders.
God, that'll cool the planet. That'll cool the planet.
Yeah, exactly. And what the Chinese, of course, Xi Jinping, he wrote down notes and then immediately threw them out.
Yeah. Shred these.
I was going to say, the Chinese Politburo isn't like, listen, guys, we got a visit from the California governor. Good guy. And I feel like he inspected our bus lines, played basketball with the kids, and let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's practice fair trade practice and maybe not spy on them as much.
Yeah. Hey, we were talking with Gavin Newsom. Maybe we shouldn't burn body of Uyghur for energy.
No.
No more burning body. Yeah. Go back to coal, baby step. That may be clean coal.
Less coal.
And, well, we'll still burn body. Recycle, burn body. He visited a Tesla factory in Shanghai. You saw him there on the bus, but he also rode some high-speed trains. So that's impressive. There you go.
Thank God. There you go. That's not safe. That's not safe.
For people on audio, it's worse than you think. So we have a question. Why did Gavin Newsom go to China? All right. Well, we kind of have some answers. He told CNN when talking about China that, quote, divorce is not an option when speaking of the economic relationship between the United States and China. And he said that the U.S. and China were, quote, interdependent. Now, let me give you some First off, California needs Chinese money, right? Yeah. They need it for investment of, the viewership of Hollywood films. Oh, yeah. You look at you wonder why there's Fast and Furious 19. Yeah. Because they're very big in China.
Exactly.
Which I hate them for more than just about anything else.
Yeah. Or the Meg 2.
They've ruined art.
I know.
Do we really need the Meg 2?
No.
They had to change Red Dawn. So it's John Cena apologizing, or John Cena was apologizing to China for acknowledging Taiwan as a place.
Oh, 100%. He would not work. Richard Gere, they say, stopped being a movie star because he made that speech back in the 90s about Tibet.
Yeah.
And they were like, we'll see you later, dude.
Oh. How do you feel about gerbils?
Yeah, well, no, Stallone made that up. So they're also huge buyers, the Chinese, of major buyers of California real estate, right?
Whoops.
They also need China for their domestic market, companies like Apple. California is very interdependent on China. Okay. Also, I'm not a complete isolationist when we're talking about trade internationally. The issue is that we have been engaging in trade with China where it has not been fair.
Right.
It has not been an equitable arrangement. And believe me, I know, for example, there's no place to get our mugs made in the United States. There's not an American company that can make these mugs. So we have it hand-etched, hand-painted in the United States. Sometimes there are supply issues. So I don't believe in punishing American businesses for needing supplies that cannot come from the United States. That being said, there are a lot of companies out there like Apple, insert whatever factory of the day, and some of them I get are Bangladesh, and some of them are other places, Vietnam, but a lot of them are in China, where they simply want to cut costs and use slave labor. California is one of the worst offenders if you look at the companies who benefit from this. The Tesla factory in China is interesting because Newsom made these comments. He said, the advantages here are self-evident in terms of supply chains. It is a benefit to both countries and certainly to the state of California.
Huh, you mean the car company that left your state because of your crippling regulations and had to come to Texas?
Not just the car company, the electric car company for which you provided additional financial incentives. If you can't make an electric car company work in California, you cannot make it work.
Can't be done.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's right. You guys are hypocrites. It's just about money. So it's just interesting to me that the guy who did more for the electric car than anyone in modern history had to leave the eco-friendly state of California.
Right.
So here he is saying that this is a good thing, the supply chain issues. And I also was going, wait, hold on a second. Don't they have factories in the United States? Tesla? Mm-hmm. So that's a perfect example of a company that doesn't need to be in China. Gavin Newsom is saying it's better for us if part of it is in China than in California. The opposite of America first. This is right in line with, of course, whether he's the candidate or not, Biden, Newsom, completely interchangeable. They're soft on China policies.
I've said we are for de-risking, not decoupling with China. We will push back on aggression and intimidation and defend the rules of the road, from freedom of navigation to overflight to level economic playing field that have helped safeguard security.
He always looks like he's looking into the sun. It's like a bad Clint Eastwood.
He's staring into hell.
On our common efforts.
And much
Open
of
your
it
eyes.
is uncontroversial, should thrive, and it would really be disastrous to try to decouple from China.
Were you about to say something there, Joe?
There's a lot of things that I was about to say. I just hate that clip from Joe Biden makes us look like one of the weakest countries on the planet. And when you're talking about China, I understand the decoupling comments. Like, we have to use them for some things. I get it.
Of course.
But at the same time, you have to understand that these guys will never play by any international rules that do not benefit them. They do not care what you think. Yep. They know their position right now. And the more that you give them strength, the more they're going to do that. The more you take that away from them, the more they're like, well, hold on, let's talk about this.
Yes.
And that's not what we've been doing with Biden or anybody else from the Democrats.
Yeah, well, our entire lives, my entire life growing up, everyone who wanted to fancy themselves an economist would say, well, the future is China. It's all coming
exactly.
Except for really 3 years pre-COVID.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump was president. People going, oh, maybe they are a paper tiger.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Maybe we don't have to kowtow to them. It's not, I have no problem with another country doing well. Honestly, I have a problem with a communist nation stealing from the United States while subjugating their own people. We need to be honest about that.
Yeah.
You can't bitch about violations of human rights, for example, in Gaza on behalf of Israel, and say that, our relationship with China is really important.
Yeah, well, that's the problem that I had with the NBA and with Nike and with Apple, was that they were doing those things in the United States. They were complaining about human rights abuses. They were trying to jump on every woke thing that they possibly could, and then turning a blind eye to what was happening in China, where their products are being made or where their services are being sold or where people were watching their games. For crying out loud, people couldn't even have signs here in the United States criticizing China.
But it took
when we have free speech.
It took a long time to get all that stuff online. That symbiotic relationship between America and the United States and China is decades in the making. So getting off that is going to take a little time. I feel like politicians are just buying time.
Yeah.
Like, China has so many problems, not just a demographic problem, but entrepreneurs and people are leaving China. Like, Hong Kong is paying people to have children. They're literally saying, we'll give you $2,500 for every kid you have, and you'll get an apartment faster.
Which is not a bad deal.
Nah,
it's not.
Which just tells me how unattractive women must be in Hong Kong. We'll pay you to bang. What? We'll pay you to bang. You bang. Go bang, bang, bang. I give you money.
Bring receipt.
I bang her. Give me no. American girl. I bang.
She bangs.
Swedish. I'll take Ukraine. I'm sure the women are beautiful in Hong Kong.
That's right.
My point is, you shouldn't have to pay men to have sex with them. So let's contrast that with whether you like him, hate him. I think, if nothing else, Donald Trump was pretty clear as to his stance on China.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reaction is very simple. China has been taking advantage of the United States for many, many years. I'm not just talking about during the Obama administration.
Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China.
2 decades later, this theory has been tested and proven completely wrong. Not only has China declined to adopt promised reforms, it has embraced an economic model dependent on massive market barriers, heavy state subsidies, currency manipulation, product dumping, forced technology transfers, and the theft of intellectual property, and also trade secrets on a grand scale.
He needs more orange around the eyes.
Also, they built a trap one time. My fingers couldn't take them out. The trickery. I didn't until they said use your thumbs and you push it out. But why make a trap like that? There's no purpose. Purposeless Chinese trap. So this is the contrast here, is you have an entire party who is not just saying, hey, we need to be realistic about our relationship with China. They want to increase our codependency with China.
Yeah.
To a degree that is alarming. You have Gavin Newsom right now. He wants to increase his national profile, and so he's going to China, which just seems a little bit weird. He's courting Chinese money. He's basically the Chinese candidate, and I would say the same thing about Joe Biden. Meanwhile, China taking a little bit of a different tack as it relates to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
要坚决纠正干涉中国内政的、破坏中国核心利益的一切行为，特别是在涉及到台海问题、南海问题等等涉及到中国核心利益这方面立即纠正，并且保证今后不再出现干涉中国内政、破坏中国核心利益的行为。只有这样中美两国两军的这个关系才能够正常发展。
So basically, for people who are listening on audio who aren't watching this, he's talking about complete independence for China, not being reliant on the United States, not allowing for American interference. Again, they don't view nationalism as a racist term there. They just view it as being a good Chinese citizen. And it's also how you know that their media is entirely government propaganda, because no reporter who looks like that would be allowed in American media. He looks like a children's doll who was given a haircut. Can we bring up a... Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
He's just like, kill me, please.
Cut it like a child.
When you can't make CNN.
Make like a child and cut my hair.
But people are forgetting about the Chinese. The Chinese conflict here. They're forgetting about, and this, by the way, this lurks behind all of it. When you look at Putin and you look at what he's talking about, when you look at, these meetings with Hamas representatives, if you're talking about Russia, you see how that relationship is cozying up far more than it used to be, China and Russia. And you see how everyone has discussed, well, everyone used to say that China was going to be the next great superpower. Donald Trump said absolutely not. And we said, I guess not. Now the Democrats they want you to act like that was just a skip in the record. No, they're going to be the world's next big superpower, so we might as well be on board with it.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there are a lot of indicators right now that China is not going to continue to rise in power. And people just keep overlooking that. And I don't know why. That would be a good thing for the world if all of a sudden China is diminished in power and standing. But the United States current administration keeps doing things to bolster their standing, to keep pushing other people into their arms, whether they want to be or not. China and Russia are not natural friends. They have no military alliance right now. What is probably going to happen is China is going to be friends with them just so that they can take their resources from Russia. And Russia can't do anything to stop China when they want to do that.
Right.
China is playing 8D chess, and right now Joe Biden's playing checkers. And this is going to get us into a lot of trouble, especially if a Democrat somehow steals the election again and ends up in office in 24. It's just going to be more of the same.
That's right. You're allowed to question election results.
We are now. I wouldn't. You
guys don't need to hit the YouTube dump button.
I wouldn't get us a strike. I mean, I would, but I wouldn't.
So many strikes.
So, watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.